Lighthouses are beacons in the night for those out at sea. They ensure that boats enter harbours safely and serve as markers for hazardous coastlines. Legends of haunted lighthouses have circulated for hundreds if not thousands of years. In this video we count down 5 haunted lighthouses from around the world. Made operational in 1875, the Currituck Beach Lighthouse first illuminated the northern shores of the Outer Banks in North Carolina. Left unpainted with exposed bricks, the powerful light immediately began saving lives as it guided ships safely around shallow waters. The 2-storey quaint Victorian home found on the grounds was first erected in 1876 as the keeper's house, and was used as such until 1939 when the light was automated. Originally 3 keepers and their families lived on the grounds, sharing this residence. Eventually the building would fall into despair until it was restored in 1980. It's within this house that people claim a haunting occurs. The north bedroom seems to be the epicenter of ghost activity. Some believe the ghost to possibly be young Sally Johnson, a child of the first lightkeeper who drowned while playing too near the water by herself. But perhaps she's not the spirit in question, but a victim of whatever haunts this room. The north bedroom was also the place where a friend of the family came to stay. She took ill and passed in this very room. Many suggest that she haunts the lighthouse property. The final family that resided in the keeper's house before it was closed in the 1930s is said to have also had misfortune occur while living there, the wife of the last keeper dying of tuberculosis in the north bedroom. There is legend that workers who renovated the old building were afraid to step into the north bedroom for some unknown reason. It's believed that the knowledge of its former tragedies were hidden from them, but they were still afraid to enter. In December of 1850, 5 ships went aground at Penobscot Bay. One of the ships broke free the cables that it was tied to. At the time there were 3 people on board: Roger Elliott, first mate Richard B. Ingram and his fiancée Linda Derrin. They could do nothing as the ship crashed into some rocks. Elliott was able to escape the ship, make it to shore and eventually found Owl's Head Lighthouse. By the time the keeper found him he was half frozen. Elliott eventually worked up the strength to tell the keeper of the other 2 people aboard the ship. The keeper rounded up 12 other men to look for the 2. When they found the couple, they were enclosed in a block of ice and appeared to be dead, but the men did not want to take any chances. They brought the couple back to the lighthouse. They put them in a tub of water and began to chip away the ice. Then they began to slowly raise the temperature of the water, and they exercised their muscles. Finally, they began to show signs of life, and after several months they made a full recovery and had 4 children. Denise German, a Coast Guard keeper's wife, said that one night her husband got up to attend to something outside. She rolled over and then felt her husband get back into bed. She asked him a question and upon receiving no reply turned over to find the bed empty. In the morning the husband told her that when he was going outside, he had seen a cloud of smoke hovering over the floor that passed through him and into the bedroom just before her experience. In the 1980s, 2-year-old Claire, daughter of Gerard and Debbie Graham, woke up in the middle of the night to meet a ghostly figure at the top of the stairs. The entity said, "Fog's rolling in, time to put the foghorn on." Her surprised parents said those terms have never been used in front of her. The ghost that is often spotted at the lighthouse resembles that of an old sea captain. He is often recognised by unexplained footprints in the snow and feelings of coldness. Built in 1871 to provide a light which would guide ships away from danger and war, one of the most haunted lighthouses in the UK is located in the north of England. The lighthouse is located on Lizard Point at Marsden, but takes its name from Souter Point, which is located a mile to the south. This was the intended site for the lighthouse, but it was felt that Lizard Point offered better visibility, as the cliffs there are higher, so the lighthouse was built there instead. The Souter Lighthouse name was retained in order to avoid confusion with the then recently built Lizard Lighthouse in Cornwall. Designed by James Douglas and opened in 1871, the lighthouse was built due to the dangerous reefs directly under the water in the surrounding area. In 1 year alone in 1860, there were 20 shipwrecks. This contributed to making this coastline the most dangerous in the country, with an average of around 44 shipwrecks per mile of every coastline. Souter Lighthouse was the first to use alternating electronic current, the most advanced lighthouse technology of its day. In 1838, Grace Darling earned her reputation as the country's most celebrated maritime heroine. She rescued crew members of a sinking ship in treacherous conditions. More than 160 years later, her niece Isabella Darling is still making her presence felt. Staff have reported spoons levitating, cold spots, and the feeling of being physically grabbed, with much of the activity reportedly taking place in the kitchen and living areas. They have also commented on the strong odour of tobacco in the kitchen corridor, and also in the area around the recreated keeper's cottage. A waitress was also surprised to spot at the far end of the kitchen corridor a man in an old-fashioned lighthouse keeper's uniform, who then promptly disappeared. For nearly 200 years, Toronto's Gibraltar Point Lighthouse, along with its resident ghosts, have overlooked nautical traffic coming and going across the mile-wide harbour. Situated on the Toronto Islands, the Gibraltar Point Lighthouse is the oldest Ontario landmark still on its original site. From its vantage point on the southern spur of the islands, the tower has witnessed most of Toronto's history unfold. For 150 years, its light beam has shone for some 30 to 40 miles over the sweep of Lake Ontario. There is a local legend about a haunting at the lighthouse. The story starts with one of the past lighthouse keepers, a man named John Paul Rademüller, who worked there during the early days of its operation. Since the lighthouse was on the mainland and not especially big, there was no living quarters, and John would go to work every night in a shift-type pattern. It was on the night of January 2nd, 1815 when John left for his job as normal. Sometime during the night, a group of drunken soldiers came across the lighthouse and thought it would be a good chance for some free booze, as lighthouse keepers were stereotypically known to drink a lot. They knocked on the door, and upon answering, John soon saw their intentions. They chased him up the stairs and ended up knocking him out, and considering the punishments for such actions during the day, which included execution, they decided to chop him up and hide his body. What they did with the body isn't known, but during the year of 1893, a man named George Dunnan found a coffin buried in the sand nearby that contained a jawbone, though it wasn't clear if it belonged to John or not. 2 soldiers were accused of his murder, John Henry and John Blowman, but they were later acquitted of these charges. Now, during mist-filled nights, moaning can be heard from the lighthouse, with some people claiming to hear banging noises coming from the stairs when they are close to the door. An apparition has also been seen walking around the base of the lighthouse. The New London Ledge Lights Haunted Lighthouse was built in 1909 in New London Harbour, Connecticut. Being one of the last lighthouses built in New England, the New London Ledge Light is a unique 3-storey red brick building which stands alone at the eastern end of the Long Island Sound. The lighthouse does have a tragic story and a haunted history. The ghost of a former lighthouse keeper named Ernie jumped off the roof of the lighthouse after his wife ran off with the Block Island ferry captain. It's believed that Ernie still haunts the lighthouse, and stories from former US Coast Guardsmen who formerly resided there may be proof. Many have reported having the sheets ripped off their bed, doors opening and closing on their own, televisions turning off, the foghorn being turned off and on, as well as boats being untied and left adrift. Some claim to have seen Ernie washing the lighthouse decks. So that was 5 haunted lighthouses from around the world. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more countdown videos.